The Catharian war beast stood 8 feet tall, its crystalline carapace gleaming under the harsh lights of the medical bay. Ambassador Zia had never seen one of the apex predators up close, let alone watched one weep. The creature's 6 eyes, each the size of dinner plates, leaked a bioluminescent fluid that pooled on the sterile floor like liquid starlight. "Please," the beast rumbled, its voice a subsonic tremor that rattled the surgical instruments. "My cub? My Zareth?" Dr. Elsa Chen looked up from her preliminary scans, her dark eyes reflecting the same exhaustion that had plagued the entire medical staff since the ceasefire began. The human medic was small by any standard, barely 5 feet tall and weighing perhaps 100 pounds soaking wet. Yet she stood unflinching before a creature that could crush her with a casual swipe of its claws. "I need you to step back," Elsa said firmly, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had spent 15 years patching up soldiers from a dozen different species. "Your emotional distress is affecting my equipment's readings." The war beast, who had introduced himself as Kethmore, Supreme Battle Commander of the 3rd Catharian Legion, took a reluctant step backward. On the surgical table lay his offspring, no bigger than a house cat despite being a member of a species that typically grew to the size of tanks. The cub's breathing was labored, its normally iridescent shell dulled to a sickly gray. Ambassador Zia cleared her throat diplomatically. "Commander, perhaps we should discuss the political implications." "No politics," Elsa interrupted, already pulling on surgical gloves. "This is medicine. Commander Kethmore, I need you to understand that your cub's physiology is completely foreign to me. I've never operated on a Catharian, let alone an infant one. The mortality rate will be 100% if you do nothing," Kethmore finished. "I have consulted every healer in our empire. They say the quantum shrapnel has fused with Zareth's primary neural cluster. They say it is impossible to remove without killing him." Elsa nodded grimly. She'd seen the scans. The microscopic fragments of exotic matter had embedded themselves throughout the cub's nervous system, like a constellation of death. On a human, it would have been instantly fatal. That the young Catharian had survived this long was nothing short of miraculous. "Your healers are probably right," she admitted. "But humans have a saying, impossible is just another word for hasn't been done yet." What followed was the longest 18 hours in the history of interspecies medicine. Elsa worked with the focused intensity that had made human surgeons legendary throughout the galaxy. While other species relied on automated systems and AI assistance, humans preferred the direct approach, flesh and blood hands guided by intuition, experience, and sheer stubborn determination. Ambassador Zia remained as official observer, but she found herself drawn into the drama unfolding on the surgical table. She watched Elsa's hands move with impossible precision, manipulating instruments designed for species with 4 arms, while somehow making it look effortless. The human doctor worked in a state of flow that bordered on the supernatural, her consciousness seemingly merged with the rhythm of the operation. Every few hours, Commander Kethmore would pace to the observation window, his massive frame casting shadows across the surgical suite. "How can she see what she's doing?" he asked during one such visit. "The neural pathways are microscopic. Even our finest surgeons require quantum magnification arrays." "Human eyes are different," Zia explained, though she wasn't entirely sure she understood it herself. "Their visual cortex processes information in ways we're still studying. They can see patterns where we see chaos, connections where we see randomness." As the hours stretched on, Elsa's movements never wavered. When her hands began to shake from exhaustion, she paused only long enough to inject herself with stimulants. When her eyes grew dry from staring into the microscopic surgical field, she blinked precisely 3 times and continued. She worked through muscle cramps, through hunger, through the growing chorus of voices suggesting she'd take a break. "The human is killing herself," observed Dr. Vexhai, the Catharian military physician who had declared the operation impossible. No organic being can maintain such focus for so long, but Elsa proved him wrong. At hour 16, she successfully extracted the first cluster of quantum shrapnel. At hour 17, she began the delicate process of rebuilding the damaged neural pathways using biosynthetic mesh. At hour 18, she sealed the final incision and stepped back from the table. The surgical bay fell silent except for the steady beeping of the monitors. Zareth's shell was already beginning to regain its lustrous sheen, and his breathing had strengthened noticeably. Impossible, whispered Dr. Vexhai. Commander Kethmore pressed his massive hands against the observation window, his luminescent tears flowing freely. My son lives. Elsa swayed on her feet, finally allowing exhaustion to claim her. Ambassador Zia caught her before she could fall. Why? Kethmore asked through the intercom. We have been at war for 3 cycles. My species has killed thousands of your kind. Why would you save my child? Elsa looked up at him with eyes that held depths of compassion that seemed impossible in someone so small. Because that's what humans do, she said simply. We fix what's broken. We heal what's hurt, and we never ever give up on a life that can be saved. In the days that followed, the story of the human medic who operated for 18 straight hours spread throughout both fleets. It became a legend that transcended species barriers, a testament to the inexplicable nature of human determination. The ceasefire that had begun as a military necessity evolved into something more permanent, a peace built not on treaties or negotiations, but on the simple recognition that any species capable of such selfless dedication might be worth talking to, rather than fighting. Commander Kethmore kept his promise to never again raise arms against humanity, and little Zareth grew up knowing that he owed his life to a small human doctor who refused to accept the impossible.